Welcome back to Switch2Linux. Well, today I want to take some time to talk about the pros and cons of NextCloud. So, of course, why would one want to use NextCloud? Well, for me, NextCloud is a way to have an amount of cloud services without having to interface with the big dogs like Google and Dropbox and Microsoft and Apple and all these types of devices. I don't recommend using those for any of your personal things. And the reality is, it is possible to have very well functioning cloud type services that are not connected to the big companies. So if you are unaware of NextCloud, you can get NextCloud in some different servers and services in some way, shape, or form. But I think the best way is still to buy yourself a hosting domain, a hosting platform, buy yourself a domain name, and set up NextCloud, which on a cPanel is simply download a NextCloud script, run it on cPanel, and that seems to work out very well. In fact, I've set that up for several people utilizing that simple script. All right. Now, I, of course, am not a cloud guy, so I don't do everything interfacing with clouds. I don't generally recommend that. But if you are a person that wants to have cloud backups of things, there's legitimate reasons even I use cloud services. For the greatest example, I'm writing a book with a co-author right now. We are using my cloud services instead of using Google and other services to get in there and actually do our collaboration on our book, utilizing my cloud services. So of course, when I put it on my hosting company, I have a VPS that the hosting company does not have root access to. Okay, it's just the thing that I'm using is I use A2 hosting, and if you want to take a look at my A2 hosting affiliate links, have a link, look in the description down below, tlm.li/A2H. I also have affiliates with SiteGround and InMotion hosting. Those are also going to be down in the description below. So if you are looking for a good host, I personally am using A2 hosting. Now, they used to have something in their terms and conditions that for their shared plans, they did not want you running NextCloud. Those are no longer in the terms and conditions. I asked them about it last time I was on a call with them, and they said as long as you're not utilizing an excessive amount of resources, there's really no issues with it. So I'm using A2 hosting for the NextCloud build I'm going to show you today. Now, there's so many great things that this system can do. But before we dive into that, let's just head on over. So looking at nextcloud.com is where you're going to want to go. They have a support forum community. They have a variety of different links and things. Of course, some of this is geared towards their sales, where if you're buying it, it can get expensive, but for an enterprise situation, you absolutely might want to consider doing that. It certainly is a little bit better than utilizing Google and other things like that. So you can get a lot of information on their community over here. I got to remember where my download links are. So under Get NextCloud, there are download links. So with this, you have a variety of different tools. Now, I'm going to recommend at the time of building this video, everything is gearing towards NextCloud 14. I would still use NextCloud 13 for now. I have encountered enough problems with NextCloud 14 that it's not like, I regret installing it, but I wish I didn't upgrade it. Okay. I'm sure that those bugs will be resolved down the road. They do have a pretty fast upgrade path, and hopefully those upgrades will be in there pretty soon. But regardless, you can get an archive file for servers if you are doing like a shared, and frankly, I use this on my VPS, and I use this in most places just because it's so stinking convenient. Just come up here, right-click the NextCloud PHP file, upload it to the FTP server, and execute it on the server. Boom, it installs NextCloud. You will need a database setup. I use SQL database, MySQL. There's a few other options as well. And there's some appliances for easy deployment should you have those type of situations. So that's kind of what you can do to get your NextCloud build. Now, before we dive in and I show you what NextCloud looks like, let's look at some pros and let's look at some cons to NextCloud. And I wrote down some good lists. Let's go ahead and start with the cons to get them out of the way. Okay, because ultimately I love the NextCloud. I think it's a great application. So let's go ahead and look at the cons. Number one is it generally needs setup, and even beyond setup, once it's set up, there's still other things you need to do that I have no idea why they haven't resolved some of these things. Like, you still have to go in and manually edit your htaccess file to force a site to redirect to SSL. You'd think they'd have a touch button to enable it or just set it up by default that way. Well, I understand why they don't set it up by default that way. Because if you set it up and it pushed it by default and you don't have an SSL on your server, you will be locked out of your site. Absolutely, understand. But it would be really cool if they had a thing in the admin panel that says enable SSL and it adds it automatically and woo, we are done. Because not only when you install it, but every time you run an upgrade, you have to re-edit that htaccess file so that it will force to SSL, which is beyond annoying. Other things it tends to do, it messes up your template files. I don't know what has changed in the LibreOffice template files that it pre-installs, but every even minor upgrade that you run, it overwrites those template files. And unfortunately for me, the template files are in German, which basically means my spell checkers have no idea what's going on because it's trying to check English spelling. It's trying to check spelling through a German dictionary, which isn't good for my deployment. And so every single time I do even a small upgrade, I will have to go in there and retransfer my template files over. So actually, I have a little folder on my computer with all of the things that I need to do every time I run an upgrade. Not super inconvenient. It's inconvenient, but it's like not super groundbreaking. It does require extra servers and setup for more functionality. For example, if you want to use it as a teleconferencing platform through the Talk application, you generally are going to need to run a co-turn server. Now, a co-turn server is something that I actually offer as part of my services. For setting up a NextCloud, I will allow people to piggyback off of my servers, which are run on AWS Cloud, an EC2 instance. Also, if you want to run your Calibora or your code, which is running LibreOffice Online. I generally don't do the only Office Online. You can either do one or the other. It's simply because I use LibreOffice on every instance in deployment for my book authoring and things like that. So I use code. You have to have a separate server running an online instance of Calibora in order to get that to work, which is certainly an extra couple of steps and possibly an extra cost depending on what you're doing. Like all systems, it is constantly in development, which means sometimes during upgrades, some things break. Usually nothing major breaks, but sometimes some things break. And then the support and documentation, in my opinion, are still relatively poor. The support consists of a user community forum, but there's not a ton of people using NextCloud yet, and so solutions are pretty rare to come across. The good news is, for me anyway, it's web technologies. I can usually resolve a lot of things pretty well because I've been in web technologies field for quite some time. That being said, why would you want, if all of that, why would I want to use NextCloud? Why? Because it is amazing. Full phone backups, literally everything you can do on a phone to back up on your Samsung, your Google, your Apple, your carrier services, you can do on NextCloud. You can do contacts, you can do calendars, you can do phone calls, you can do text messages, you can do all of those things on a NextCloud instance, okay? All of them very easy to do, all right? So in my case, what I have is I use 3 specific apps as part of NextCloud on my phone. One is the primary NextCloud app. So I don't set my phone up to do full backups. I still do all my backups offline. But if I'm going around town and I need to snap some photos or something and I need them, it's actually more convenient for me to upload those photos to NextCloud on the app on the phone and then just pull them off the cloud instance on the computer. Particularly since my Linux Mint computer has the contacts the online account section, and on NextCloud, that means that I can sync the files directly from a directory. I can also sync contacts, and I can sync calendars by default. All of that kind of stuff, phone backups, also computer backups. All my writing computer is auto-synced to the NextCloud instance so that as I'm working and writing on books, I don't have to worry about things like that. All right. So the next is if you want to replace Dropbox, Jitsi, Google Docs, calendars, contacts, and a plethora of other services, NextCloud does it perfectly. So that's kind of the case there. Also, it is end-to-end encrypted. So everything going to and from it is encrypted, and it can even be encrypted on the file structure. So my friend who is a co-author of mine, he has a NextCloud account into the system, so he can get in there. He can put whatever up there. I can't see it because it's encrypted. I have no idea. I have no ability to get in there and do it. All right, and then it is a good instance for a family build or for a small community build. So like if you're a family, rather than giving Facebook and, well, Facebook not really with your phone, but rather than Google, giving Google and Apple and Microsoft and all these other services, all that access to your family's data, you can actually set up a family instance of NextCloud, have everything synced to that. And then if you simply do regular backups, you are perfectly safe from any craziness. Of course, then it begs that question, do you want to have things online? Do you want to have that, do you want to have cloud services at all? That's a question. If you're like, I'm completely anti-cloud no matter where that cloud or who that cloud is, then NextCloud probably isn't for you. But if you are a person that says, yes, I see the value of cloud services, and I myself do not endorse anybody to jump full on into cloud, even if it's your own cloud instance. But like all things, I suggest a balance. There's some things that I like the cloud to have easy access to, and there's most things I just completely keep off the cloud and like my offline backups. So that's the thing. So those are kind of my pros and cons of NextCloud. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. And this is the admin account on my system. So on my admin account, like anything else, I keep the admin account completely separate. It is not personalized because I only log in here to do system administration things. All right, so with your pull down, you can view a list of your users, you can add users, you can adjust groups. There's basic settings, there are apps that you can install, there's about, help, and there's a logout. So on your settings panel, what we actually have over here is just a whole variety of different tools. So these are all just under administration. These are all just different settings to get into your different apps. So like Talk, you can specify where are your stun servers at. Calibora needs access to a code server, so you need to be able to lay those out. Of course, my theming, the reason I went with a brown theming setup is because my login screens are actually pictures of the Grand Canyon. That's really why. So I customized that. Of course, my logo is a no sign around Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. So, and my tagline is actually called "Keeping Big Tech Out of My Life." So you can do fun stuff like that. Under your personal settings, this is where you can download the applications that you need, things like that. Under your apps, this is where you can determine which applications are running on your server. So you can see there's actually a few things I need to upgrade. And by the way, I just ran updates on these things really just a week or two ago. So this is how fast the development cycles run. Always upgrading things. And so what are these doing? Calibora is what allows me to use my service like an online Google Docs replacement. Contacts, of course, allows you to sync contacts. Notes is the one that I use for my news. So I have an application on my phone, and basically all it does is pulls up, this just pulls up simply a news feed or a text feed that produces a note, and then that just creates a file inside of my own personal account. Talk is basically an online Jitsi or even kind of like Google Hangouts, really. Not quite as well developed, but definitely moving along. And then some of these are just things that are automatically built in. Calendars, to sync calendars. There's emails. You can see the federation, which basically allows me to share files and things with any other NextCloud user by entering what's called a federation ID number, which generally is your user at your NextCloud instance. There's file sharing, just a variety of other things that are set up. There's a few things that I have disabled. So like the activity feed, I find completely useless for my instance. So I turn that out. Auditing and logging, I only enable that if I'm having issues. There's the external storage support, which I have not played around with this. I think this is what one of my gentlemen here on the stream has been talking about. And LDAP for user and group backend. Then there's a variety of things. You can come down here and just put in various tools. So like there's games I could put on, integration, monitoring, multimedia, office text, whole variety of things, including 14 allows either an SMS verification or a verification through Telegram, and I think Signal might be in the list as well. I can't remember. So there's a lot of different things that you can do inside it. So of course I'll go over my files, and like I said, a Google Docs replacement. This is just a test document. I was just making sure that things are working. So here I pull up a test document, and I have here working. I put in all my MS fonts, so my old MS Core fonts and my new fonts are in there as well. So I can interface. I should be able to create an interface with any other type of instance here. You can file, you can download as a PDF, ODT, a docx, or an RTF file. You can see revision history on the system there. I've never tested that. I'm not sure if it completely works. You can see that the spelling checker is working, and my documents are actually in English now because I had to readjust my templates to be in English. So you can do pretty much anything. I have never attempted to format a book on this. I'm not sure I want to attempt to format a book on this, but it is very good for writing the essays in our ref drafts and things like that. So of course we have that. We can just hit the plus here and we can create new files. I've never actually tried grading presentations. So let me actually do that. Never actually attempted to load up a presentation file. Uh-oh, we're in. There you go. There you go. You got our presentation set up. Very nice. Let's see. Do we have... I'm wondering if we have themes in here or not. I don't know. I don't know if we would have themes in here or not, but we have the full ability to do that. Of course, there is a built-in PDF reader, which is quite a nice system. You can see it will, if your PDF is organized, this is what we have. So this is actually the NextCloud guide in here. You can see it's the NextCloud 12 user manual. I've been running this NextCloud instance since version 12. That's why I have version 12 there. We can close that out. There's a video player. I think there's a photo thing as well. So they're using like a fancy box photo gallery here, so you can do that. So that's kind of what it can do. I do have the music application plugged in. I don't have any music on this particular instance. You can see it did the failing to reload page. It's going to send me back to a login screen, I'm sure. Yep. That's one of the problems that I have encountered on this particular version of NextCloud is it does not like keeping you logged in. Now, there's a reason for that. The version 13 still has a checkbox where you can check, do you want to remain logged in or not? They have removed that. Now I have to put in a line where I can say don't remove it, but every now and again as it transitions to a different page, it gets hung up and logs itself out. That's a con of the more recent version of this. Let me go ahead and log into... I'm just going to have to be more careful with this one, but let me log into my own personal one. Okay, so here we are. We're logged into my personal cloud now. You can see I have my picture up there because this is my cloud instance. So here we are on our music application, and I can just kind of come over here and turn this on. So now we got our desktop audio is probably playing some classical. We're going to go ahead and stop that, but that's the 1812 overture on there. This is the note application I was talking about. So again, these are kind of the notes. So this is my last news feed. So again, they're all just put up on my phone and they just appear over here so I can copy these out and paste them out. Calendar will sync with calendars. It syncs with the apps. Contacts, of course, you can set this to sync with your phone contacts as well. I'm not going to click on either of those because those are personal contacts. Mail, you can set up a variety of emails on the system to check. I only have 2 set up. Then this is the Talk application, which, as I said before, gives us the ability to have a teleconferencing calls. And then our gallery, which probably has some personal photos in there because I haven't cleared them out for a while, so I'm not going to go over there. So that is kind of your instance on your NextCloud circumstances. That's everything that they can do. Let me see if there is anything else here I'd like to show you guys. I guess just moving on to the PDF reader, this is actually the last book that I sent to the publisher. So, of course, I have it organized out by my chapters and things. So I have my books and stuff on my cloud server. So that's kind of what you can do with NextCloud, the various things. That's why I use it. That's why it's worth it. Yeah, it can be a pain sometimes, but it's definitely better than just the raw convenience of rolling over Playing Dead and sending all your personal files out to Google. So again, if you liked this video, have a look at my affiliate links down below, particularly if you're looking to set up a NextCloud instance. Then you can go ahead and have a look at the affiliate links for the hosting platforms. I do A2 hosting is where mine is personally running. I also recommend SiteGround and InMotion hosting, where I'm running an instance for somebody right now. If you need help setting this up, maybe you're a small business and you'd like a setup, but you don't have the time, I do offer services to set up NextCloud. I set them up, I secure them, and I provide access on my Calibora and Code servers for companies that need that as well. So those are, of course, extra add-ons that we charge. But if you do need help with that, then feel free to reach out to me either here or on my business site, which is westernmountainweb.com. You can reach out there, just put NextCloud in there, and I will get back to you on that. So that is NextCloud. Don't forget, as far as this channel is concerned, you can help support the channel with a variety of ways. Shop.switchedtolinux.com. You can find t-shirts, coffee cups, and I have this nice hoodie there and my Switch to Linux mouse pad. I have a few different mouse pad varieties over there. Also, you can take a look at my main support page, switchedtolinux.com/support. We'll tell you where all of that support is. And then you can check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM. So thanks for coming along, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.